This is the 18th issue of the official UK PlayStation magazine, issued back in April of 1997. This is the first PSM UK disc produced in the year 1997 actually. Also, this is the first demo that has been split into 2 volumes, until issue number 35. It comes with 4 playable games, including Adidas Power Soccer, Command & Conquer, Robotron X and Trash It. Let's see the actual content on this demo, shall we? Oh boy, where do I even begin with Adidas Power Soccer International 97? This game is like a wild roller coaster ride that takes you through the wackiest soccer experience you could ever imagine. If you are looking for a realistic soccer simulation, you might want to kick this game to the curb. But if you are up for some side-splitting fun, then strap on your virtual boots and get ready for a soccer party like no other. First off, let's talk about the graphics. Now remember, we are diving into the PlayStation 1 era here, so let's not expect photorealistic players or jaw-dropping stadiums. Instead, prepare yourself for blocky characters that resemble something between Lego people and bobbleheads. But hey, these pixelated players have more charm than a team of Cristiano Ronaldos doing a synchronized dance routine. The controls are a whole different ballgame altogether. They say practice makes perfect, but in Adidas Power Soccer International 97, practice just makes you look like you have too much caffeine. Trying to pass the ball can result in your player launching it into the stratosphere, or passing it directly to the opponent behind you, who's probably laughing their socks off. Scoring a goal? Well, let's just say that even the goalkeeper seems to have been recruited from a comedy club, with their unpredictable antics and occasional moonwalks. If you thought the gameplay was unconventional, wait until you hear the sound effects. The commentators in this game are absolutely bonkers. They will go from delivering insightful analysis to shouting utter nonsense in the blink of an eye. You will hear gems like, "The goalkeeper is as confused as a penguin in a desert," or "This match is crazier than a squirrel on roller skates." It's like having a comedy show accompany your soccer match. And trust me, you won't be able to keep a straight face. Now let's talk about the game's AI. If you have ever dreamed of playing against opponents with the intelligence of a bag of bricks, then you are in for a treat. Your teammates will either ignore you completely, leaving you to fend for yourself against an army of opponents, or they inexplicably score own goals like they are auditioning for a comedy routine. It's frustrating and hilarious at the same time. But you know what? Despite all its quirks, glitches and downright absurd moments, Adidas Power Soccer International 97 has an undeniable charm. It's the kind of game that brings friends together, as you laugh at the ridiculousness unfolding on the screen and create unforgettable memories. So if you are up for a soccer experience that will have you in stitches, this game is an absolute must-play for you.
Cool borders! Go for it!
Get ready to hit the virtual slopes in cool borders for the PS1. A game that combines exhilaration of snowboarding with a healthy dose of hilarity. Strap on your virtual goggles and prepare for a wild ride filled with tricks, wipeouts, and enough icy antics to keep you laugh all the way down the mountain. So here we go again with a pixelated winter wonderland, where your snowboarder resembles a colorful stick figure on a sugar rush. It's a charmingly retro aesthetic that adds to the game's playful atmosphere and makes you feel like you are shredding through a vintage arcade game. And now let's hit the slopes and talk about the gameplay. Cool Borders offers a variety of tracks, each with its own unique challenges and opportunities for outrageous stunts. You will find yourself performing gravity-defying tricks like backflips, 720 spins, and even occasional accidental cartwheel that leaves you wondering if your snowboarder is auditioning for Cirque du Soleil. The controls might take some time to get used to, but once you find the groove, you'll be pulling off tricks like a pro, most of the time. Of course, what will be a snowboarding game without epic wipeouts, right? Cool Borders has you covered on that front as well. Whether it's misjudging a jump and face planting into a snowbank, or catching an edge and performing an unintentional somersault down the mountain, the wipeouts in this game are as entertaining as they are frequent. You will find yourself laughing at your own misfortune most of the time, eagerly waiting the next wipeout to see how creatively your character can crash and burn. The game soundtrack is a absolute blast from the past. Picture yourself shredding down the mountain to a mix of adrenaline-pumping 90s rock tunes and electronic beats that make you feel like the star of your very own snowboarding movie montage. It's the kind of a soundtrack that gets your blood pumping and makes you want to rock out while pulling off those outrageous tricks. Cool Borders on the PS1 might not be the most realistic snowboarding game out there, but it more than makes up for it with its lighthearted and entertaining gameplay. It's a game that embraces the joy of winter sports while injecting a healthy dose of comedy into every twist and turn. So if you're up for a snowboarding experience that is equal parts skill and hilarity, Cool Borders is the game that will have you shouting "Kawabonga" all the way to the finish line or into a snowbank.
Got it. Yeah.
Step into the world of Command & Conquer on the PlayStation 1, where you will experience the delightful fusion of real-time strategy and unintentional hilarity. Brace yourself for a roller coaster ride of questionable tactics, eccentric characters, and enough explosions to make Michael Bay blush. This game is a true gem for those who appreciate strategy served with a side of laughter. Let's start with the graphics, shall we? Prepare yourself for blocky tanks that resemble misshapen boxes on wheels, and pixelated soldiers who move with all the grace of a duck on a roller skate. But hey, who needs photorealism when you can witness the comical sight from an entire army doing a synchronized moonwalk, right? Now let's dive into the gameplay, shall we? Command & Conquer is all about commanding your forces to victory. But it seems like the troops miss the memo on proper military tactics. They often charge headlong into enemy fire like they are auditioning for the latest action movie, completely disregarding the concept of cover or self-preservation. It's like watching a game of who can make the most dramatic death scene, as soldiers fly through the air in exaggerated fashion. But wait, it gets even better. The voice acting in Command & Conquer deserves its own round of applause. The characters deliver their lines with such gusto that you would think they were aiming for an Academy Award in overacting. From the overzealous commanders shouting orders like they are auditioning for a role in a heavy metal band, to the villains who sound like they are plotting their evil schemes while gargling with helium. The voice acting is hilarious treat that will have you in stitches. And let's not forget the iconic music that accompanies your battles. The game soundtrack is an electric mix of intense rock anthems and synthesized beats that feel like they were pulled straight out of the cheesy 80s action movie. Picture this, you are commanding your troops, building your base, and all of a sudden, a power ballad starts playing, making you feel like the invincible hero of the 80s montage. It's a delightful and hilarious blast from the past. One of the standout features of Command & Conquer is the ability to deploy special weapons to decimate your enemies. Imagine calling an airstrike, only to witness an airplane perform a series of wide loops, barrel rolls, and ultimately crashing into a tree before causing any significant damage. It's as if the pilots took a wrong turn at the air show and decided to put on a show of their own. Sometimes the unintentional comedic moments are worth more than the victory itself, right? Command & Conquer on the PS1 is a gem that doesn't take itself too seriously, and that's what makes it so entertaining, to be honest. It may have its share of quirks and laughable moments, but that's what adds to its charm. So gather your troops, brace yourself for strategic chaos, and get ready to laugh your way to victory. Get ready to step into the world of Robotron X on the PS1, where things get sus, strange, and downright bizarre. This game takes you on a wild journey through a dystopian world filled with robots, lasers, and a dash of mind-bending confusion. Buckle up because you're in for a serious questionable ride. Remember again, we are in the PlayStation 1 era, so don't expect eye-popping visuals. Instead, prepare yourself for a pixelated extravaganza that looks like it was crafted during an experimental phase of the game developer's life. The robots are clunky, the environments are repetitive, and the colors seem to have been chosen by someone with a grudge against your eyeballs. It's like walking into a retro-futuristic fever dream where everything feels simultaneously outdated and strangely alluring. Robotron X is all about shooting robots, and boy, does it deliver on that front. You'll find yourself in the midst of onslaught of metallic enemies that swarm at you with relentless determination. It's chaotic, it's intense, and eerily satisfying. However, the controls can be as suspect as a cat stealing your socks. Your movements might feel sluggish and unresponsive, making you wonder if your character is battling not only the robots, but also their own existential crisis. The audio design in Robotron X deserves a special mention for its peculiar choices. The soundtrack is a mix of thumping electronic beats and synthesized sounds that could easily pass as a theme music for a secret robot disco. The sound effects, on the other hand, are a curious combination of clunky mechanical noises and the occasional high-pitched screeches that might just make your dog question their own existence. It's a cacophony of auditory oddities that adds another layer of strangeness to this already suspicious game. If you thought the gameplay and audio were perplexing, just wait until you encounter the power-ups. In Robotron X, power-ups range from the expected to the utterly bewildering. You might grab a power-up expecting a laser upgrade, only to be greeted with a disco ball that confuses the robots and makes them bust out of their best dance move. Or you might stumble upon a power-up that turns your character into a giant chicken. Because who doesn't want to save the world as a clucking hero, right? It's like the developers ran out of conventional ideas and decided to embrace the absurdity with open arms. Robotron X on the PS1 is a game that will leave you scratching your head and questioning the choice made during its creation. It's a sus adventure through a world that combines retro charm with a heavy dose of questionable design decisions. So if you're up for a trip to the techno weird zone, complete with perplexing visuals, suspect controls, and power-ups that defy logic, then Robotron X might just be the game you never knew you needed.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, come to you live and direct, the master of the mount, Jack.
Trash It. The game that takes the concept of one person's trash is another person's treasure and turns it into a wild, wacky and strangely addictive gaming experience on the PS1. Prepare to embark on a journey of destruction, mayhem, and a whole lot of trash tossing fun. Trash It throws you into the shoes of an enthusiastic garbage collector who takes their job to a whole new level, armed with an arsenal of power-ups and the knack of throwing trash like a pro athlete. Your mission is to obliterate everything in sight. It's a concept so delightful and so absurd that you cannot help but chuckle at the sheer audacity of turning trash into a legitimate gameplay mechanic. The graphics in Trash It might not push the limits of the PS1, but they have a certain charm that's hard to resist. From the colorful and quirky environments filled with piles of garbage, to the cartoony characters that bounce around with gleeful abandon, the game creates a world that's both trashy and endearing. It's like stepping into a twisted garbage wonderland where chaos reigns supreme. Trash It is all about tossing trash and causing mayhem, and it does deliver on that front. You'll find yourself hurling garbage cans, old tires, and even toilets with remarkable precision and power. The physics might be a bit wonky, but that only adds to the hilarity as you watch trash fly through the air like a deranged circus act. The sheer satisfaction of demolishing obstacles and creating a trail of chaos is inexplicably satisfying. Trash It also spice things up with a variety of power-ups that add an extra layer of craziness to your trash throwing adventures. Imagine grabbing a power-up that turns your garbage into explosive fireballs, or unleashes a swarm of seagulls that create an avian havoc. It's a comedic twist on the garbage collecting profession that would make Marie Kondo question her life choices. The sound design in Trash It is surprisingly catchy, from the upbeat music that keeps your trash throwing rhythm on point, to the quirky sound effects that accompany each garbage toss. The audio adds to the game's light-hearted atmosphere. It's the kind of a soundtrack that will have you bobbing your head by gleefully flinging trash at everything in sight. Trash It on the PS1 might not be a groundbreaking masterpiece, but doesn't need to be. It's a game that embraces its absurd concept with open arms and invites players to revel in its trash-tastic glory. So, if you are in the mood for some mindless fun, quirky graphics and exhilaration of turning trash into triumph, Trash It might be just the game for you. So this was Eurodemo from April 1997. While it did not have many playable games again, the ones on it were very interesting and most of the time unknown for me. I'm curious, have you played this demo? Which game was your favorite on it? Have you perhaps owned the retail version of any of these? Let me know down in the comments below. Please like and subscribe. Check out the suggested videos for more similar content. I'm Gabe, and I'll catch you in the next one.